Let's talk about this picture. Captured in 2008 by Daniel Young, this is one of the only pieces of evidence that this encounter actually happened. So Daniel was a custodian at Myrtle Elementary School where he worked the night shift. It's a pretty routine night. He's just listening to music when he's suddenly interrupted by the sound of a woman's laughter. He turned around and was terrified when he saw an unknown woman smiling from behind the corner. This was a locked school on after hours, so clearly she was an adult who broke in, so he tried to snap a picture to identify her and then chases after her. But when he turned the corner, she had already darted out of an emergency exit. Later that night, police are called to a home where they arrive at a tragedy. An unknown woman had broken into a nearby home where she knifed two parents, one who was the principal of this school, so brutally they were unrecognizable. One of the daughters who witnessed this woman before she got away described her as this person. Could this photo be of the same unknown woman? And what her connection is to the school and the principal, we don't know.
Urban legends that were proven to be real, Part 1. The Candy Lady. In the early 1900s, children in an unnamed rural town in Texas started to go missing, and the residents blamed it on the Candy Lady. The story says that she would go around leaving candy on children's windows, and eventually she'd lure the kids out with notes attached promising more candy. The story picked up steam when a farmer allegedly found rotten teeth in his farm, later found the body of a boy with his pockets stuffed with candy. All for next urban legend.
Let's talk about this picture. So this is a still that was actually captured from video footage that was taken by Project Ghost Town, and if you look at the top of the staircase, you'll notice there's something wrong with the photo. But to bring you this episode of Creep Time, I am partnering up with Spyfly. This is the site for running background reports. If you're getting insights for safety purposes, property, or even reverse phone lookups, Spyfly is perfect for vetting first dates, even if you want to reconnect with long-lost loved ones. Make sure to check the link in my bio, sign up for Spyfly today. This group, they went to go visit a town called Demeril, which is really infamous because back in the day, everybody left this town on the same day. Nobody ever knew why. While exploring abandoned houses, they started taking video and caught this. They looked at the footage and they looked at the top of the staircase and realized what they had caught was an unknown face. Despite them claiming they searched the house and they were sure they were alone, the footage has largely gone unexplained. Is a haunting the reason everybody left Demeril back in the day?
Hello everyone, so I have a paranormal story time for you today. If you've read my book, you already know this story. If you've been my friend for a while, you probably already know this story too. But this is one of the scariest experiences I ever had when I was ghost hunting. This story is actually pretty well known. I anonymously posted it on a paranormal website when I was a teenager, like right after it happened, and it has been cited in articles and in people's videos several times. But since it was anonymous, not people know it was me unless they have read the book. So anyway, I digress. This took place at the old Sacred Heart Hospital in Pensacola, Florida. Now that was one of my favorite locations to go ghost hunting at, even though we technically weren't supposed to. But we wouldn't go like at night or anything. Like it would be like, we would just walk around the floors you're allowed to be on and look at the artifacts, and when no one was around, we would try to do EVP recordings and things like that. I have had so many experiences at that hospital, but this one takes the cake. So the way the hospital is set up, there are 5 floors. The public is only allowed to go on the first 3. Sorry, my cat scared the shit out of me. I'm scaring myself a little bit. The public is only allowed to go on the first 3 floors, but the top 2 floors are still completely abandoned. Like, you are not allowed to go up there. It's too dangerous to go up there. Everything is left exactly as it was. So I think it was the summer after I graduated high school, my old ghost hunting group and I and a couple of friends who also wanted to come along, we went ghost hunting at the old Sacred Heart Hospital. So we were on the 3rd floor, which is the highest floor that you were allowed to go to as members of the public without permission. Well, all of us were 18, except there was one member of our group who was 17. And he decided to go up onto the floors that he wasn't supposed to go on and trespass. And I kept saying, please don't do that. Like, you're still technically a minor. If we get caught, like, we're adults. If we're guilty by association, we could actually get charged, like, as adults. And he was like, but I really want to go up there. And I was like, okay, well, if you're going to go up there, I'm going to leave. So 2 members of our group actually stayed at the bottom of the stairs, thankfully, because, you know, they wanted to make sure he was safe. And I did too, but, like, I was like, I don't want to go to jail. So there was one other member who walked away with me and was like, yeah, I'm not going to get involved in that. So we walked through these heavy metal doors. So, like, the staircase, you have to get to it through these heavy metal doors. And then whenever you walk out of the metal doors, you're in a long hallway, right? So my friend and I were just walking down the hallway, looking around, kind of exploring by ourselves, and up above us, through the ceiling, we heard a terrible scream. I am so sorry to do this, but I'm going to have to make a part 2, but I'm going to make it immediately so you'll be able to see it.
Urban legends that were proven to be real, Part 3. The Montauk Project. It was conducted in Montauk, Long Island in the early 80s, reportedly served as one of the Duffer Brothers' main inspirations for Stranger Things. The legend wasn't fully baked until the early 1990s when Peter B. Nichols, an electrical engineer, helped pen the Montauk Project. The book detailed time warps to Mars, genetic experiments, and 11 psychic child spies. Now the show makes sense. Fall for the next urban legend.
I haven't even had this camera set up a day and already caught paranormal activity. Watch the mirror. I hate this creepy AF haunted, spooky, ghoul-infested house.
Is everyone dead? When you die, your brain is said to live on for 7 minutes and recreate your memories in a dreamlike state, flashing your entire life before you. Because time moves differently when we're awake than when we're asleep. 7 minutes can feel like 100 years. Stephen Hawking actually stated that if we find the God particle, the world could end in a day, and in 2012, we discovered it. What if the world did end in 2012, and we've been living in our consciousness? Could that be the reason why, ever since the year 2012, the world has gotten so much weirder? And maybe everyone is actually living in their consciousness, so?
Creepy urban legends you didn't know about. Texas. The haunted Chinese cemetery is San Antonio, Texas. If you ever find yourself in the south side of San Antonio, driving down the lonely street of South Zarzamora, keep your eyes wide open for a small cemetery. Legend has it that if you drive to the cemetery at night, parking just near the front, with your car completely shut off and windows rolled down, you may have a paranormal experience. Supposedly, if you flash your lights off and on 5 times, voices will begin emanating from the beyond, and some have even seen a tall white apparition floating through the grounds.
Scary Maine urban legends. The ghost ship of the Damariscotta is a ghostly vessel that appears on the Damariscotta River. This ship is said to be the ghost ship of a pirate ship that was sunk by the British Navy many years ago. This occurred in the early 1850s when the 210-foot ship named the Ellen Austin was strolling through the river on their way to New York. After a few days, their ship got lost in a heavy mist, and when they came out, they seemed to have just vanished out of thin air. Then 2 days later, their ship was back, and when an investigation was done, it was found that no crew was on board. Another odd thing was that everything looked perfectly normal, like there wasn't any sort of panic or whatever. However, none of the ship's logs were found, only giving its story more mystery. Nowadays, residents around the river claim to see a ghostly ship in the distance, usually when it's foggy, pointing out responsibility to the Ellen Austin, saying it's on its way to its watery grave.
Have you ever heard of the Villisca axe murders? There was this serial killer that came in, and somehow this guy was able to come into the house, kill 2 parents and 6 kids, all in one house with an axe.
Tiny house.
Without getting caught at all. And to this day, it's an unsolved murder. One of the few times we actually had to leave. So halfway, after doing a little tour with the tour guide, he was telling us all these stories. Our buddy was feeling like he's gonna throw up, and it was just really odd. That doesn't happen every time.
The most gruesome part about it is the killer used the blunt side of the axe, so you can still, because we went there to investigate, you can still see the axe markings in the ceiling when he was going back to go down. On the top floor there was the parents' room, but then 5 steps down a wooden creaky hallway was the children's room where there was 4 of them, and then there was 2 more of their daughter's friends that they were hanging out with that were downstairs that got murdered as well.
Serial killer facts that'll haunt your nightmares, part 5. When Peter Curtin was just 10 years old, he had his first sexual experience with a goat, and the years that followed, he would regularly do it with other farm animals. At age 13, he killed his first person and would murder over 60 more. In the 1910s, Bella Kiss killed 69 people and tried to pickle them. And when police found their bodies in barrels, they had puncture marks on their neck and they had been drained of all their blood. Pedro Rodriguez Filho killed 71 people both in and out of prison. He was released a few years ago and now has a YouTube channel where he makes fishing videos. Cannibal killer Albert Fish enjoyed shoving sewing needles in his pelvic area while he touched himself. And before his execution in 1936, a medical examiner found over 30 needles in his pelvis. Andre Chikatilo, better known as the Rostov Ripper, was originally captured but had been released due to a 1 in a million genetic condition that caused the blood type in a sample to be different from the blood type in his semen.